Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Alyssa G, and I am the Program Manager in the Office of Career Services.
Hey everyone, my name is Katrina Salazar. You can call me Dean Kat. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Assistant Dean for the Office of Accessible Education here at Harvey.
And today we are joined by two of our SoCal Edison friends that I will allow to introduce themselves.
I can get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Whitney. I am a senior talent acquisition specialist here at Edison. I've been here for about 6 years and excited to meet everybody today.
Thank you. Again, good evening, everyone. Before I get started, I'm a little under the weather, so please forgive my voice. But I was so passionate about being here, I could not miss this for the world. Um, my name is Omari Hines. I have been with Southern California Edison for 20 years. I work in what is called the deregulated market. I am an account manager, and I ensure sustainability and customer choice within with Southern California Edison.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for joining us. And so, Omari, I know that you'll be leading us today with your answers to these questions that we have for you. So I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about yourself, your company, and your educational background.
Thank you. So I mentioned my name, Omari Hines, but a little bit about me that not even Whitney would know is I've been married for 23 years. I've been my wife for 32 years. We have three children and a grandbaby now. We are huge animal lovers. So for those in the audience who love animals, I'm a big animal lover. We lost one last week to cancer, unfortunately, and was really sad. We 7.5 years. We had our little puppy, and so, but regards to also about myself, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. You don't hear the accent, so if you saying, "Well, why don't you talk like a New Yorker?" It went away. Once you at a certain time in California, you lose it. Um, but my mother, just like this school, who has extraordinary gifted individual. My mother was an engineer. She moved out here, and as a single mother, as someone with a disability, I have low vision. You can't tell. I have on contact lenses, as you can't see, but I wear gas permeable hard lenses. And so I was bullied a lot because I used to wear glasses and they were really thick. And so she moved to California to pursue her dream in engineering, as well as to provide a better future for me. So that's a little bit about me. Regarding my company, I've been with Edison 20 years. I celebrated 20 years this year. I mentioned what I do. I've been in this department going on 8 years now, and I love what I do. I manage the program. It's fun. I get a chance to interact with external stakeholders, internal stakeholders, and it's just really great work, and it's rewarding. Um, in regards to my education, I have a associate's in business and a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership. And I have one more class before my practicum for to get my master's in sustainability. So I graduate this year. I'm excited about that. And then hopefully 2027, after taking a year off, I can then go to law school and to pursue energy law. And then last but not least is outside of work, I'm part of the Braille's Institute of America Communities of Heroes. So I work with the Braille Institute on like their Braille challenges and their events here in Southern California.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Our next question here is going back to your college days, what resources did you have or use to prepare you for the workplace?
Well, I'm sure I go back to 2013. That's when I went back to school. I started with Edison in 2005, and I realized how important education was. So um, when I went back in 2013, I got my associates. I had to go in person, and it was really hard because, again, my vision is really bad. It's hard for me to see the projection, and I'm sure people can relate. Those who are listening, and you have to do part of your VARC, right, which is your chance to listening and trying to understand audio as part of your learning. And that was me. I have to take very with good notes. I have to be super organized. Um, but then I went to University of Phoenix. Not as great as this school, clearly, but would have been honored to go to come here. But I went to Phoenix and I was able to do online school, and that they had programs like Grammarly and other items, and I have a really large like monitor, so it's easier for me to see. So I did really well. I did well in my associates, but I really excelled because I was able to assist and be an online school. And then now in my master's, I'm almost have a 4.0, and again, it's with the new technology as you responsibly use AI and you quote and you use the citations correctly. I'm sure everyone at Harvey Mudd is doing that, but as you utilize this technology, it helps me a lot. I am excelling. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I can say at Harvey Mudd, we also have assistive technology, which has been helpful for students. So I'm glad that you also got to experience that in your education. So this next question is, how did you go about the search and what were your priorities when looking at companies in regards to your disability?
well, my wife worked at SCE first, Southern California Edison first, back in the 90s, and she used to tell me about how SCE was ahead of the curve compared to the company I was at, where monitors back then, the largest monitor was like 15 inches long, right? Like 15 inches. And that was like early 2000s. And so it was really hard. And there was no inclusivity in regards to um, their processes, right? It just didn't have the resources, the income, or even the process. But Edison was there, and they used to have call center representative who had magnifying screens and software. So when I had an opportunity to apply in SE in 2005, that was the clearest choice because I used to go to picnics and different events, and I would meet these individuals. And they were just glowing about SE, and I was like, I gotta check this company out, and then I did. And 20 years later, I'm here, and um, this is the reason why we are a company that believes in inclusive work environment, and that's really important.
So talking about the job before SCE or even like internships, research, whatever you did before then, how did you navigate going about those applications, that job search as a person with a disability?
For me, I would usually work with a manager or work with a peer who's been there longer than who's been has like a long history of working there, and I would ask them, "Can you spend some extra time after work?" And so I use my ability to talk to people in order to connect, and I've been lucky to be able to communicate with folks, and so. Um, we didn't have any devices. There was no recordings. And, you had the big recordings back then, but I didn't know anything about that. I was young, and so for me, it was just taking notes. I have to, and I have to write it out, and then I'll write it out again, and I'll write it out again until it just sticks. And so, and then I would work with my wife, and she would read it to me over and over. So, some folks who are very gifted at learning something one time, I'm the person that has to probably spend probably 5 or 6 hours, but I work so hard at it. So that's why I'm able to move up because my work ethics.
Great. Thank you for sharing. This next question is, what's a strategy you'd advise on students approaching how to disclose their disabilities to an employer?
To me, it's be honest. This one is really easy. Just be honest up front. There used there used to be the stigma about people, folks with individuals with disability, and I believe we're in a place where corporations, and I'm sure um, folks here, as we have in this webinar, is proof that things are changing, that people are listening to people with disability. We hear you, that we just not hear you, but we see you, and you should be seen, you should be heard, and don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do anything regardless of your disability. And so just be honest, be upfront, have a plan, and say I know how to do this because this helps me, and this is the return on investment that I can bring to your company based on how I learn.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This next question here, did you experience any barriers in classroom settings or previous work settings? And how did you navigate those situations, whether it was disclosing or dealing with a disability in general?
At work, it's always when if you ever work at a job, you always do those side by sides. I'm sure people familiar with those. I cannot see. I can literally be up on your computer. I would have to tell you to, can you move out the way and let me sit in front of your screen and you sit on this side. And so that to me is kind of, and I still actually face that today. So when I do have to learn something, I always ask for a webinar, or excuse me, for a Teams meeting, a virtual Teams meeting. It just helps me, but there are times where I can't get around that. So I always ask if there's someone that can scribe for me, that can assist, and if there's a person that can write on the board that can assist in those situations. I am a yellow belt, which is a Lean Six Sigma, so I help in continuous improvement. So I always have someone that's going to be there to help write some of the ideas that we get as a team. In regards to school, when I was in 2013, when I was getting my associates, again the same thing. I would sit in the front, I would listen, I would try to stay away from anyone that talks a lot. So I would look around. My first day, I would always find, okay, who's the one that asks all the questions, so I can make sure that I'm just focused and I'm dialed in.
Awesome, thank you. I know that you mentioned that you would ask for like Teams meetings as an alternative way to join a meeting. And so this next question actually kind of ties into that. How do you advocate for yourself in the workplace as a person with a disability? What does that look like?
So advocating for myself, it's I, I don't do a good job advocating for myself, but advocating for others. So there's no I in SCE. So one of the things I worked on with our HR partners was a new font. It's Atkinson's hyperlegible font that the Braille Institute of America released, and it really helps people with vision, um, like vision disabilities. And so everything I do, it benefits myself, but also I find out that a lot of people are not coming out and disclosing their disabilities. So when I do events like this and I do them at work, I get all the messages and people say, thank you so much. I didn't know that. Can you tell me about this software? One of the things I didn't mention earlier is I use a software called Speechify. I believe a lot of colleges have it, and maybe your college has it as well. It follows for you and you can change the speed. It's one of the most greatest events. I can read almost at fast levels because of that. I've had that for the last couple of years. So um, just telling the company, this is the tools I need, and this is why it would benefit you at the same time, even though it is an investment that you have to make.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. We did want to leave time for some student questions, and we do have some in our Q&A box. So I'll start with this first one, and it can be from your experience, or I know you also advocate for others, or if Whitney, you want to jump in at all. But the first student question we have here is, what are considered reasonable accommodations for chronic conditions and or mental health conditions?
Whitney, I, I, I know Whitney's here. I don't know if Whitney's still there, Whitney. Oh,
Yeah, I'm still here.
okay. That question, I know that we have, the California sick days, and we have different programs as well, but I'm not familiar about the chronic.
Yeah, I would say so too. Is that a question we can probably get back to you, Alyssa? Maybe you can send that over and I can look into it and then we can provide an answer to that one.
Absolutely.
I can share for myself. I have to go into work. We do a hybrid schedule. So now that it's winter time, we're going to be dealing with rain and fog. And whether I do, you can get accommodations because it is, I don't know if anyone drives on the freeway there and you can't see some of the white dots sometimes or the line. And sometimes you're driving and it's raining and you find yourself tailgating. Well, a couple of years I was doing that and I almost got into a really bad accident. And so I realized for safety, just not for myself, for others. And so the company was made an accommodation for myself in that situation, for increment weather like that. And I was really thankful because it actually it's something that can save my life and others.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure that employers also um, look over these on a case-by-case basis because it might be individual to that person. Like what you shared, Omar, is something I didn't even think about as an accommodation. So that's great to know that they approach it in that way. So this next question we have from our Q&A was, what did it look like for you in terms of the transition from college resources to employer resources? And what were the pros and cons? And if you can share a little bit about that.
For the college resources were always better. Colleges have more resources than and employers. It kind of is one of those things, right? But now that in the last couple of years, we went into what is called our operational excellence as a company, and that's bringing in our working with our co-pilot Microsoft partners and improving that function. And those are kind of now helping me with school as I get close to the finish line. I'm able to do better research. I'm able to look at things. So I would say that my work accommodations and technology has now actually outgrown the actual what the school is offering at the time. I go to Middlebury. I didn't think I mentioned that. I go to Middlebury, which is a school out of Vermont, and so they're a very small school. So
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, especially here at Mud, not to toot our own horn, but Dean Cat and our office and the rest of our team do really well with accommodations and resources. But honestly, it sounds like SCE has a plethora and is also really, really amazing. So that's so great to hear that you found your place there for the last 20 years and how everything's been going so well. Our next Q&A question here is actually specific to SoCal Edison. Again, this can be for you, Amari, or if Whitney, you want to jump in at all. But what inclusive practices does SCE already have for employees with disabilities?
Winnie, you want to take this one and then I can share my experience?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk kind of about the employee research group that we have called ABLE. Omari, I know you are a part of that, so wanted to kind of hear a little bit about your experience and the community there, just to have that emotional support and connection as well. Would that be something you would be able to share?
Definitely. Um, I did this was about last year, and please forgive me. It's something new that they just started. It's something new I just started with that group, and um, I'm trying to think of the acronym, what it means, but I know it means limits. And then so I feel so bad right now because I should have probably had that ready to go. But and overall, on the synopsis here, it really helped me, that team, and along with the HR partners, I think changed everything for me. I actually Edison is really great with resources, but they help me even be more. They have been like I'm here because of that group. They like for me to get my message out. They've been promoting me. They've been supporting me, and I've been now. This is like my second or third time this year talking about my disability, and it's because of the group at SCE that is, working with folks with multitude of disabilities, and I'm thankful for that resource group. It's changed everything the way I looked at like work. I could tell you personally, it's been personally like emotional for me to be a part of this, and it's an honor. So thank you.
I know we have a lot of acronyms here at SCE, and it's hard to remember. It's called Abilities Beyond Limits and Expectations.
Yes, and I try to remember that every single time.
We have so many acronyms here at SC.
Right.
It's hard for me to remember too.
But they're great resources, and they go in the community. We did a backpack for back to school, which was really fun, and so that was great. And then, of course, this event here. So
Yeah, and I do want to share the mission for ABLE. It is to unite and support SE employees with disabilities, caregivers, and family members of individuals with disabilities to obtain a rich and professional life. ABLE provides an inclusive community for people who have and support individual with disabilities to share stories, to be heard and understood.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's really cool that you have those groups within your workplace, that you can talk and meet other people who maybe have similar disabilities, or you even get to learn about others. So that's awesome. And so I have another question here for you. And Omar, you kind of touched upon this when you mentioned that there's more of an understanding of disability in the workplace now than in the past. But the question is, how have accommodations or support for individuals with disabilities changed over time?
I would say that, I talked about that stigma. I would say now I believe it's actually within the company's materiality matrix. It's in, if you look at your mission statements, if you look at the company's sustainability goals, um, it's part of the new future. And even though sometimes it might not seem like it's the right thing to say, but it's always companies like Southern California have been steadfast at remaining, um, focused on continuing to hire and be inclusive within our environment and our work development. So definitely big changes over the years, and that goes across probably the globe. And I'm sure others you could probably see where we are today compared to where we were probably when I first started in 2005.
Okay, the last question that we have in our Q&A section right now. So wanted to make an announcement for our attendees. If you have any other questions, now's the time to type them in. But with this last question, possibly for now that we have, um, is what does the application process look like for someone with a disability at SCE specifically? Like when did you disclose during the interview process, who knew during an interview, etc. Again, open up to either one of you.
I can start off with that. So, I think in our job postings, we actually have a little blurb. So, if there are any accommodations needed, there is a phone number to call. So it is even like during the application process, just so we can, be of assistance in any way to have a successful applicant and interview and go from there. So, and in terms of interview as well, if there are any accommodations needed, we do ask that question as well, and we would be able to assist with any accommodations moving forward from the interview process as well. So I
Yeah,
hope
I agree with that. That's you speak up early. I think I mentioned that in the question number two is if you let the said individual who is hiring or the hiring manager and HR when you go into your process know, um, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and let them know, and with the company will. I think all companies. I think it's part of like actually law, right? Part of the ADA and other items, and I'm sure you work in those departments, so I'm sure you know the legal aspect of that. So
Yeah, we definitely want to ensure that the individuals with disabilities do have reasonable accommodation to participate, like I said, in the job application or the interview process, and also to perform like the essential job functions as well. So we have like a number readily available on the job postings to call. So every step of the process, we want to have everyone feel supported.
Amazing. Thank you so, so much. Our Q&A section is, it says like open, answer, or discussed, answered. It's all answered. We have completed our rapid fire questions on you, Amari. We really appreciate your time, you as well, Whitney. Thank you so much to our attendees for joining us this evening, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. See you. So hope to see you again next year.
Thank you both so much.
Bye.
Thank you.